Let me ask you a simple but powerful question. When was the last time you truly thought about yourself? Not your job, not your partner, not your responsibilities or deadlines or the never-ending notifications lighting up your phone. I mean you, as a human being. Your mind, your soul, your needs. We live in a world where we're taught to serve everything and everyone but ourselves. Be productive, be helpful, be available, be everything for everyone. But what happens when you do that for too long? You stop hearing your own voice. You forget what it feels like to just be. We wake up, check our phones before we even get out of bed. We rush through our mornings, fill our calendars with meetings, errands, expectations. We answer emails at dinner, scroll through social media before we sleep, and then wonder why we feel anxious, overwhelmed, and strangely empty. The truth? You've been living for everything and everyone except yourself. And no one ever stops to tell you that this kind of life isn't sustainable. Because as long as you keep giving and giving without pause, without boundaries, eventually, you run out. You become a ghost in your own life. You're present, but not really there. So let me say this clearly. Maybe for the first time in your life, it is not selfish to prioritize yourself. It is necessary. It is survival. It is strength. And if this message hits something deep inside you, then you're in the right place. This video is for you. This isn't just another motivational video. It's a call to return to you. To come home to the person you've been ignoring. To stop chasing validation and start reclaiming ownership of your life. Because if you don't make yourself a priority, someone else will happily decide what your life should look like. Maybe it's already happening. Maybe you followed a path that was expected of you, college, job, marriage, routine. You did the right thing. But deep down, it still feels like something's missing. You feel it in quiet moments. Those rare seconds when the noise fades and the truth gets a chance to whisper. This isn't the life I imagined. So what do we do? How do we wake up? That's where Stoicism comes in. Now, I know what you're thinking. Stoicism? Isn't that just some old Greek philosophy for people who want to suppress emotions and act tough? Not even close. Stoicism is not about being emotionless. It's about being grounded. It's about learning how to respond instead of react. How to remain calm in the middle of chaos. How to detach from what you can't control and focus fiercely on what you can. And here's the most important part. It's about putting yourself back at the center of your own life. Because how can you show up fully for others, your kids, your work, your relationships, if you're not showing up for yourself? How can you lead, grow, or give, if you're running on empty? The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, understood this over 2,000 years ago. And yet, their wisdom is more relevant today than ever. Because we are drowning in noise, pulled in 100 directions, chasing a version of success that leaves us exhausted and unfulfilled. Stoicism teaches you how to say, enough. Enough giving your energy to things you can't control. Enough sacrificing your peace for approval. Enough postponing your dreams to meet someone else's deadline. It teaches you how to build a calm mind in a chaotic world. And if that sounds like exactly what you've been searching for, then stay with me. In this video, I'm going to guide you through practical, time-tested Stoic principles that can help you refocus, recharge, and rebuild your life from the inside out. Not as some rigid philosophy, but as a living, breathing framework for how to exist with more strength, purpose, and peace. So here's my invitation to you. Before we go any further, take a deep breath. Seriously, pause and breathe. Now ask yourself, am I ready to stop living someone else's life and start living my own? Because this journey won't be easy. It won't happen overnight, but it will be worth it. By the end of this video, you won't just understand why putting yourself first is powerful, you'll feel inspired to do it. You'll learn how to silence the noise, set real boundaries, master your attention, and, most importantly, reconnect with the person you were always meant to be. So if you're ready to stop existing and start living, if you're ready to stop reacting and start responding, then let's begin. This is your time. Let's make it count. Let me introduce you to someone. His name is Gabriel. And for over 10 years, Gabriel lived a life that, on the surface, looked noble, admirable. Even, he was the first to arrive at work, the last to leave, the guy who never said no. Gabriel, can you stay a little longer? Of course. Gabriel, can you cover for me? Absolutely. No problem. He became the go-to person, the helper, the fixer, the one who was always available. To his boss, he was dependable. To his co-workers, he was a good guy. To his friends and family, he was someone they could always count on. But let me ask you, what happens when you're always there for others, but never for yourself? For Gabriel, it meant losing himself, bit by bit, day by day. He didn't even notice it at first. It started small, skipping meals to stay at work, canceling personal plans because someone needed help, answering texts late into the night because he didn't want to seem ungrateful or unavailable. And while everyone around him was thriving from his support, Gabriel was quietly burning out. Until one day, everything stopped, in the middle of a routine workday. During yet another never-ending meeting, Gabriel felt a sharp pain in his chest. He brushed it off. He told himself he'd deal with it later, because, of course, there were more urgent things to do. But the pain came back, again, and again. And then one afternoon, as he sat at his desk with tired eyes and a heavy mind, everything went black. He collapsed. Gabriel woke up in a hospital bed, dazed, wired to machines, and surrounded by concerned faces. The diagnosis? Extreme exhaustion, stress, anxiety, burnout. His doctor didn't sugarcoat it. If you keep living like this, he said, your body will force you to stop, whether you like it or not. That moment was a wake-up call. Not just for Gabriel's health, but for his entire life. He realized something terrifying. He had spent over a decade living for everyone else, but not a single year living for himself. Let that sink in for a second. How many of us are doing the same thing? Running from one obligation to the next. Always saying yes. Always showing up. Always putting ourselves last. Because we've been taught that this is what good people do. That sacrifice equals virtue. That selflessness is the highest form of character. And yes, there is honor in giving. But what happens when you give so much of yourself that there's nothing left? That night, as Gabriel lay in bed recovering, He stared at the ceiling and asked himself a question he had never dared to consider before. What if I started saying yes to myself? Scrolling through his phone later that week, he stumbled on a video about an ancient philosophy he had never heard of before: Stoicism. The video quoted Marcus Aurelius: "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." Those words hit him like a brick. He rewound the video and played it again and again, because for the first time, someone had put into words what he had been feeling for years. His life, the stress, the exhaustion, the emptiness, was not just the result of his circumstances. It was the result of his beliefs. Now let me ask you, what could you do with 1.000 hours? You could learn a language. You could write a book. You could start a business. You could change your life. But most people don't even notice those hours slipping through their fingers. And when they do, they wonder why nothing has changed. If you want a different life, it starts with using time differently. So how do you do that? Let me give you 3 practical, battle-tested steps. Step 1. Set 3 clear goals each day. Just 3. Don't make a massive to-do list filled with 25 tasks you'll never complete. That's just overwhelming. Instead, focus on 3 meaningful actions. For example, 1. Watch the first lesson of an online course. 2. Complete a 15-minute workout. 3. Write 1 page of your business plan. If you do just those 3 things, your day was productive. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Step 2. Use the Stoic Pomodoro technique. Maybe you've heard of the Pomodoro method. Work for 25 minutes. Take a 5-minute break. But let's give it a Stoic twist. During those 25 minutes, no phone, no tabs, no distractions, just you and the task. Before you begin, remind yourself of a Stoic truth. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. So don't just plan your goals. Live them. When your timer starts, focus with full presence. When it ends, step away, breathe, stretch, reset, repeat as needed. It sounds simple, and it is, but that simplicity is its power. Step 3. Stop waiting for motivation. Use momentum instead. Let's say you want to learn web design. You get home from work. You're tired, and your brain says, "Not tonight." But here's a trick. The 5-minute rule. Tell yourself, "I'll just work on it for 5 minutes. If I want to stop after that, I can." But once you start, something shifts. You get pulled in. 5 minutes turns into 15. Then an hour. You just needed to overcome the friction of starting. Motivation is a myth. Action creates momentum. And the more often you take that first small step, the more often you'll follow through. You want to stop wasting time? Then take ownership of it. Don't let your hours slip away into apps, tabs, and endless scrolling. Don't let other people's agendas fill your schedule before you write your own. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by the idea of change, remember this: you don't need to fix your whole life overnight. You just need to reclaim 1 hour today. One focused, undistracted hour. That's how it begins. And if you keep doing that, day after day, you'll look back 6 months from now and barely recognize the person you used to be. Because while the world kept scrolling, you were building. And that makes all the difference. Let me ask you something that might hit a little close to home. How many times have you told the world what you're going to do before you've actually done it? I'm starting a new diet. I'm launching my business soon. I'm writing a book. I'm going to the gym every day starting Monday. We announce our goals with pride. We post about them. We talk about them. And for a brief moment, we feel amazing, motivated, seen, celebrated. But then, nothing happens. A few days go by. The fire fades. The momentum disappears. And suddenly, that big exciting plan? It's buried under another wave of daily distractions. Sound familiar? You're not alone. And here's why. When you talk about your goals, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that gives you pleasure when you actually achieve something. In other words, your brain gets the reward just for talking, not for doing. This is what scientists call false achievement. And this fake hit of satisfaction tricks your mind into believing you've made progress, even when you haven't moved an inch. So while you think you're on your way to a new life, you're actually just circling in place, stuck in the illusion of action. But the Stoics warned us about this centuries ago. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Don't talk about what you're going to do. Do it, and let your results speak for themselves." Think about it. The most respected people in your life probably aren't the ones who constantly broadcast their goals. They're the ones who just show up. Every day, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. They don't chase applause. They chase progress. They don't need to say, "I'm going to change." They just change. So, how do we shift from talker to doer? Let me give you a simple framework that works. Step 1. Go into stealth mode. Stop telling everyone what you're about to do. That doesn't mean you can't have support or accountability. It just means you don't need to announce every new habit, every new goal, every new idea. You're not doing it for likes. You're doing it for you. So instead of saying, "I'm going to get in shape," start training quietly. Instead of saying, "I'm writing a book," open your laptop and write one page today. You don't need validation. You need momentum. Step 2. Find internal rewards. This journey isn't about public approval. It's about private satisfaction. So celebrate the small wins. That early morning you got out of bed to hit the gym. That hour you spent reading instead of scrolling. That project milestone you reached without fanfare. You don't need to post a photo. You don't need applause. What you need is to feel proud of yourself when no one else is watching. Because real success doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in silence, in sacrifice, in self-discipline. Step 3. Do the mirror test. Every night before bed, stand in front of the mirror and ask yourself, did I take one real step forward today? Not. Did I talk about my goals? Not. Did I get likes on a post about working hard? But, did I actually do something that matters? If the answer is yes, you're on the path. If the answer is no, don't beat yourself up. Just promise to do better tomorrow. This quiet check-in keeps you honest. It brings your focus back to action, not appearance. Now, I want to share a story with you, one that perfectly captures this idea. For 4 years, in total silence, Leonardo da Vinci painted a portrait. No big announcements, no press tours, no Instagram stories documenting his process. Just pure obsession. Layer after layer. Detail after detail. The result? The Mona Lisa. He didn't hype it. He didn't explain it. He just created something so powerful, it spoke for itself. That's what happens when you let your work do the talking. So what about you? What masterpiece are you working on quietly? What version of yourself are you building, brick by brick, while the world is too distracted to notice? Because here's the thing. When you work in silence, no one sees the early mornings. No one sees the setbacks, the doubts, the nights you wanted to quit but didn't. But one day, they'll see the results, and they'll ask, when did this happen? And all you'll say is, while you were watching, I was working. So, my friend, here's your reminder. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Stop chasing external applause. Chase internal alignment. Do the work. Stay focused. And let your results speak. Because when they do, they'll say everything that words never could. He believed he had to be useful to others to be worthy. That his value came from what he gave, not from who he was. And so, Gabriel decided to rewrite the script. It wasn't an instant transformation. When he said no to a favor at work, people were surprised. When he turned off his phone after hours, some criticized him. When he took time for himself, others called him selfish. But for the first time, Gabriel didn't care, because he finally understood something powerful. If you don't make yourself a priority, you'll become an option in your own life. Today, Gabriel still works hard. He still helps others. But now, he does it without sacrificing himself. He sets boundaries. He says no. He puts himself first, not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. And here's what he discovered. When you're good with yourself, you can give more to others, without destroying yourself in the process. His story isn't just a personal journey. It's a reflection of what so many of us are going through. And maybe, it's a mirror for you too. So let me ask you, how many times have you said yes when your heart was screaming no? How many times have you burned out trying to keep everyone else happy? How long will you keep sacrificing your peace for approval? It's not too late to change. Like Gabriel, you can choose a new path. A path grounded in clarity, in boundaries, in strength. A path guided by the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. And it starts with one question. Are you ready to say yes to yourself? Let me ask you something real. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you reach for? Your phone, right? Notifications, texts, emails, a quick scroll through Instagram or TikTok just to wake up. Before you even take your first sip of water or look outside your window, your brain is already hooked. And that, my friend, is not an accident. It's a system, a trap, and most people have no idea they're even in it. You see, your mind, your attention, your focus, it's the most valuable thing you have. And today, it's being stolen from you, little by little, swipe by swipe, click by click. We live in a world designed to distract us. Apps, ads, alerts. They're not just harmless conveniences. They're psychological weapons, created by engineers who understand how to hijack your brain's reward system and keep you addicted to the next hit of stimulation. And what do we get in return? We get anxiety. We get mental fog. We get a life filled with constant noise and zero clarity. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If someone tried to hand over your body to a stranger, you'd be furious. Yet, you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along and insults you. And you don't seem to mind." That was written over 2,000 years ago. Now think about today. You're handing over your mind, not just to people, but to machines. To algorithms that don't care about your goals, your peace, or your future. And the scariest part? You might not even realize it's happening. You think you're in control. But let me ask you, when was the last time you sat down to focus on work? On a book? On something meaningful? Without reaching for your phone every few minutes? When was the last time you went a whole day without checking social media? If you're being honest, the answer might be, "I can't remember." And that's not your fault. It's biology. Neuroscience tells us that dopamine, the chemical linked to pleasure and reward, is at the center of this problem. Every ping, every like, every short video, they light up your brain like a slot machine in Las Vegas. And just like gambling, it becomes an addiction. You crave the hit, you chase the novelty, and slowly, the part of your brain responsible for deep focus atrophies. So no, it's not that you're lazy or undisciplined. It's that you've been trained to be distracted. But here's the good news. You can take your mind back. You can rewire your attention. And you can rebuild your ability to focus with the help of ancient wisdom and modern science. Let me show you how. Step 1. Create a dopamine detox. This isn't about throwing your phone out the window. It's about setting boundaries, making technology work for you, not the other way around. Start simple. Turn off non-essential notifications. Set app limits. Use tools that block distracting sites during the times you need to focus. There are free apps out there that can help. Focus mode. Forest. Freedom. If you're not using them, ask yourself why. Is convenience more important than control? Because if you don't design your environment with intention, the default design will always win. And that design is distraction. Step 2. Protect your mornings and nights. The first hour of your day and the last should be sacred. No phone, no social media, no junk information. Use that time to connect with yourself. Journal, meditate, exercise, read. Do something that reminds your brain, "I'm in charge." Step 3. Ask the Stoic question. This is where philosophy meets practicality. Every time you go to open an app, pause and ask yourself, is this serving me, or is it distracting me? That one question has the power to change your behavior. Because the truth is, you already know the answer. You just need to slow down enough to ask. And here's the deeper truth. If you don't control your attention, someone else will. Because in the end, focus is the dividing line. It's what separates those who dream from those who do. If you want to build something meaningful, whether it's a business, a relationship, a healthier mind, you must reclaim your attention. And that means being ruthless about what you allow in. You don't need to know every trending topic. You don't need to reply to every message in real time. You don't need to give your energy to content that leaves you empty. You need clarity. You need space. You need to protect your peace like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. So here's your challenge. For one day, take control. Silence the noise. Ask the hard questions. Choose focus over distraction, and see what happens. Because once you taste the power of a focused mind, you'll never want to go back. Let's be honest for a second. How many times in the past week have you said, "I just don't have time"? Time to work out. Time to read. Time to start that business idea you've had for years. Time to finally sit down and just breathe. It's one of the most common excuses we give ourselves. But let me challenge you. Is it really that you don't have time, or that you've been giving it away without realizing it? Think about it. How often do you open your phone just for 5 minutes, and then look up an hour later having gone down a rabbit hole of dancing dog videos? Food hacks and drama you don't even care about? We've all been there. You open YouTube to watch something educational, and end up watching a documentary about some lost civilization on the other side of the world. Fascinating? Sure. But was it what you meant to do? Here's the truth most people never confront. It's not a time problem. It's a focus problem. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said it best. Time is like a river made up of the events which happen, and a violent stream, for as soon as a thing has been seen, it is carried away, and another comes in its place, and this will be carried away too. In simpler words, time flows. It doesn't stop, it doesn't rewind, and once it's gone, it's gone. Marcus ruled the largest empire in the world. He had armies, wars, political chaos, family obligations, and yet, he still found time to write, reflect, and grow. So tell me, what's your excuse? If a Roman emperor could find time for personal growth, what's really stopping us? The problem isn't the lack of hours in the day. The problem is that we allow distractions to consume the hours we do have. Let me share a study with you. The University of California found that on average, modern workers waste 3 hours a day on unnecessary distractions. That's over 1.000 hours a year. Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Who you spend time with determines who you become. That's not just a feel-good quote. That's science. A groundbreaking study from Harvard found that 95% of your success in life is tied to your environment, and especially to the people closest to you. Now, think about that for a second. It's not your IQ, not your college degree, not even your motivation. It's your circle. Because you rise, or fall, to the standards of those around you. If you hang out with people who constantly complain, blame others, and make excuses, guess what? Sooner or later, you'll start doing the same. You'll find yourself matching their energy, mirroring their mindset, settling for their standards, and worst of all, you may not even notice it. But flip that around. Surround yourself with people who dream bigger, who push harder, who challenge themselves every single day, and suddenly, you start evolving. Without even trying, you absorb their ambition, their discipline, their mindset. That's how powerful environment is. Let me ask you something. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Think about them right now. What do they talk about? How do they spend their free time? What kind of energy do they bring into your life? Do they lift you up, or pull you down? Do they push you forward, or keep you stuck? And here's the truth no one wants to admit. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. If you want to grow, you can't keep holding on to people who refuse to evolve. Now don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean you cut people out without compassion or kindness. but it does mean you start getting intentional. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said it best: associate with people who are likely to improve you. He understood that your environment is a mirror. If you want to become wiser, calmer, stronger, you need to surround yourself with people who reflect those qualities. So how do you do that? Step 1. Filter your circle. Take a good, honest look at the people around you. Who challenges you to be better? Who makes you think bigger? Who respects your boundaries and supports your goals? Now, ask the opposite. Who drains your energy? Who keeps repeating the same drama? The same negativity? The same limiting beliefs? It might hurt, but clarity always does. And once you're clear, start choosing differently. Spend more time with those who inspire you, less time with those who exhaust you. Step 2. Create your virtual inner circle. Maybe you don't have people like that in your immediate life right now. That's okay. You can still create an empowering environment through what you consume. Follow thought leaders. Listen to powerful podcasts. Read books that elevate your thinking. Watch content that feeds your mind, not just your attention span. Your brain doesn't care if wisdom comes from your neighbor or from Marcus Aurelius. It absorbs what you give it. So give it greatness. Step 3. Say no more often. Sometimes, protecting your energy isn't about what you say yes to. It's about what you refuse to entertain. Say no to gossip. Say no to meaningless arguments. Say no to toxic conversations that go nowhere. And every time you say no to the wrong things, you say yes to your growth. Now here's something you need to remember. Your environment isn't just the people around you, it's also the standards you tolerate. If your space is chaotic, your mind will be too. If your social media is filled with comparison, you'll lose gratitude. If your daily conversations are shallow, your thinking will be too. That's why high performers are obsessive about curating their environment. Because they know, it's not about willpower. It's about proximity. Put yourself near excellence, and excellence rubs off. Let me give you a real-world example. Have you ever noticed how people who join a gym with friends stay more consistent than those who try to go alone? Why? Because environment creates accountability. Because energy is contagious. And the same applies to every goal in your life. Want to build a business? Hang around entrepreneurs. Want to get fit? Spend time with people who train. Want to level up mentally? Start conversations that stretch you. Your life expands or contracts based on who's beside you. So here's the question. Are the people around you building the future you want, or blocking it? And if they're not helping you rise, it might be time to reposition them in your life. Remember, you can love people from a distance. You can care without carrying. But if you want to protect your peace, your focus, and your potential, you need to choose your circle with intention. So, today, take inventory, get clear, get bold, and start shaping an environment that pushes you forward. Because greatness isn't just about effort. It's about who you're becoming, because of who you're with. Let's imagine something for a moment. Your mind is a desk. This desk is where you're meant to create, think, focus, and plan the life you want. But when you look at that desk, what do you see? Stacks of unopened news articles. Sticky notes filled with drama that doesn't concern you. Notifications, alerts, gossip, endless to-dos. There's no space to move, no clarity, just chaos. And that is exactly what most people's minds look like. We live in a time where your attention is constantly under attack. Every headline screams for your emotional reaction. Every social media post competes for your validation. Every piece of useless content adds another sheet of paper to that already cluttered desk. So no wonder you feel overwhelmed. No wonder you struggle to focus. No wonder peace of mind feels like a luxury you just can't afford. But here's the truth. You don't have a time problem. You don't have a focus problem. You have a clutter problem. And if you want to create the life you say you want, you have to clear your mental space. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Let that sink in. The richest person isn't the one who owns the most. It's the one who needs the least. And that idea doesn't just apply to physical possessions, it applies to your thoughts, your attention, your energy. Because mental wealth begins when you stop carrying thoughts that don't serve you. Now I know what you might be thinking. But I want to stay informed. I need to be aware of what's going on. What if I miss something important? Let me be clear. I'm not saying you should live under a rock. But most of what we consume today isn't information, it's mental pollution. Ask yourself this: how many times have you read a shocking headline and felt anxious for hours, even though it didn't impact your actual life? How often do you scroll through drama or debates online that leave you feeling drained, but do absolutely nothing to improve your day? This is the price of overstimulation, and it's slowly robbing you of your inner peace. So how do you take your mind back? Let me give you a simple tool that I call the rule of 3 filters. Before you allow anything into your mental space, whether it's a piece of news, a conversation, or a social media post, ask yourself: 1. Does this directly affect me? 2. Can I do something about it? 3. Is this truly important in my life right now? If the answer to all 3 is no, let it go. Don't just scroll past it. Don't half read it. Let it go. Your mind is sacred ground. Don't let everything and everyone trample through it. Step 2. Curate your inputs like your life depends on it, because it does. Unfollow accounts that fuel comparison or conflict. Mute conversations that drain your energy. Replace mindless content with meaningful knowledge. You'd be surprised how much peace you reclaim when you stop letting the internet decide what enters your head. And here's something to consider. Most of the people you see online flaunting the perfect life, they're struggling behind the scenes just like you. Their highlight reel isn't real. So stop measuring your worth against their illusion. Step 3. Practice information fasting. Try this experiment. Go 1 full day without consuming news or social media. No YouTube rabbit holes. No doom scrolling. No, just 5 minutes on TikTok. Just 1 day. And watch what happens. You'll start to notice things: your breathing, your thoughts, your environment. You'll feel less tense, more present, more aware. And what's even more powerful, you'll realize you didn't miss anything important. Because here's the truth: the essential news will always find its way to you. The rest? Noise. Now let me share a real-life example. Matt D'Avella, a popular filmmaker and content creator, did something bold. He went an entire year without watching the news, no TV, no headlines, no updates. The result? His anxiety decreased. His focus skyrocketed. He had more time, more clarity, and more energy for the things that actually mattered. And guess what? At the end of the year, he hadn't missed a single life-changing event. Everything that truly mattered still reached him, without the stress. So what's stopping you? You don't need to disconnect from the world. But you do need to protect your mental world. Because when your mind is clear, your decisions become better, your priorities become sharper, and your inner peace becomes non-negotiable. So today, I challenge you. Clean your mental desk. Audit your attention. Unsubscribe from chaos. Create space for wisdom, focus, and calm. Because a clear mind leads to a clear life. And in a world addicted to noise, silence is your superpower. Let's get real for a moment. When was the last time you felt truly uncomfortable? I'm not talking about minor stuff, like switching your morning coffee brand or trying a new Netflix show. I mean that deep, internal discomfort, the kind that makes your hands shake before you speak in public. The kind that hits you when you start something new and your mind screams. You're not ready. Most people treat discomfort like a red light. They stop. They back away. They find a detour, anything to avoid that uneasy feeling. But what if I told you that discomfort isn't the enemy? What if it's actually a sign that you're on the right path? Because here's the truth. You cannot grow inside your comfort zone. Let that sink in. Every version of your better self, stronger, wiser, more resilient, is hiding on the other side of effort, uncertainty, and challenge. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't just tolerate discomfort, they trained for it. To them, adversity wasn't punishment, it was the classroom of transformation. Marcus Aurelius faced invasions, betrayal, disease, and still wrote with calm and clarity. Epictetus was born a slave and became one of history's most respected philosophers, not despite his struggles, but because of how he faced them. They believed that discomfort was the compass pointing toward who you're meant to become. And today, neuroscience backs them up. Dr. Wendy Suzuki, a leading neuroscientist, explains that when you face discomfort, your brain begins building new neural connections. It physically changes. It becomes stronger, more adaptive, more focused. So the question is no longer, how can I avoid discomfort? It's, how can I use it to grow? Let me give you something practical. Step 1. Do one hard thing every day. On purpose. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Finish your shower with 15 seconds of cold water. Have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Why? Because each time you do something uncomfortable, you're not just checking off a box. You're training your mind to resist the urge to escape. You're saying, I can handle this. And over time, your threshold for effort rises. Your fear of struggle fades. And your identity shifts from someone who avoids to someone who endures. Step 2. Learn to tell the difference between pain and progress. Not all discomfort is created equal. There's the pain of growth, the burn in your legs after a good workout, the anxiety before a big presentation, the fatigue after pouring yourself into your goals. Then there's the pain of harm, chronic stress, toxic environments, burnout, The Stoics didn't say, endure everything at all costs. They said, know what's worth enduring. So ask yourself, is this discomfort pushing me forward, or breaking me down? One leads to power. The other calls for rest or change. Step 3. Change your language around discomfort. Most of us say things like, I hate this. This is too hard. I'm not ready. But what if you reframed it? Instead of saying, this feels awful, try, this is what growth feels like. Instead of saying, I can't do this, try, I'm training for this. Because how you talk to yourself in moments of struggle will define how far you go. Let me share a powerful example. David Blaine, the illusionist, once broke the world record for holding his breath. 17 minutes, underwater, no tricks, no magic, just brutal, relentless training. He didn't wake up one day with that ability. He built it through repeated exposure to extreme discomfort. Day after day, he conditioned his body and mind to resist panic, to stay calm under pressure, to endure the urge to quit. He chose discomfort, and in doing so, redefined what was humanly possible. So what about you? You don't need to hold your breath for 17 minutes. But what's your version of that challenge? What's one thing you've been avoiding because it's uncomfortable? Is it starting that business? Going back to school? Having a hard conversation with someone you love? Whatever it is, that's your growth zone. And the longer you avoid it, the longer you delay the person you could become. So here's the truth no one tells you. You don't need things to get easier. You need to get stronger. The good news? You already have everything inside you to do that. You just need to start choosing the path that stretches you. The path that humbles you. The path that forces you to level up. And when it gets hard, and it will, don't run. Smile. Breathe. Step forward. Because every time you embrace discomfort, you take another step toward the life you truly want. Remember this. Comfort never changed anyone. Discomfort builds empires. So today, do something that makes your stomach flip. Lean into it. Because that fear you feel, that resistance, that's the signal you're growing. Let me ask you a simple question. When was the last time you sat alone, with no phone? No music, no distractions, just you and your thoughts? For most people, that's a terrifying thought, and in today's world, being alone is something we avoid at all costs. We're constantly connected. We scroll through endless feeds. We surround ourselves with noise, anything to avoid that moment of silence where we have to face ourselves. But here's the paradox. The very thing we run from, solitude, is the key to clarity, creativity, and inner strength. History is full of geniuses who understood this. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest minds of all time, once said, "Be alone. That is the secret of invention. Be alone. That is when ideas are born." Tesla knew something we've forgotten. That in stillness, the mind begins to speak. That in solitude, you meet your true self. But today, we avoid solitude like it's a disease. Let me share a shocking study with you. Researchers at the University of Virginia conducted an experiment where people were left alone in a room for just 15 minutes, no phone. No distractions, nothing to do but think. Sounds simple, right? Here's what happened. Most participants chose to give themselves electric shocks, rather than sit alone with their own thoughts. That's how uncomfortable solitude has become. That's how unfamiliar we are with our own minds. But the Stoics knew better. They understood that solitude isn't emptiness. It's power. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, ruled an empire, yet he journaled daily in silence. He knew that leadership without self-reflection is dangerous. That stillness wasn't a weakness, it was the foundation of wisdom. So how do we reclaim the power of being alone? Let me share 3 simple steps that can transform your relationship with solitude. Step 1. Schedule quiet time like your mental health depends on it, because it does. Start small. 10 minutes a day. No phone. No music. No distractions. Just sit. Let your thoughts wander. Let your breathing settle. Listen to what's underneath the noise. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, even frustrating. But give it time. Silence has a rhythm, and once you tune in, it becomes your superpower. You'll start to notice ideas forming, emotions surfacing, questions you've been avoiding bubbling to the top. That's not a breakdown. That's you finally checking in with yourself. Step 2. Embrace voluntary isolation as a form of training. Think of solitude like a mental gym. You go there to strengthen your focus, your creativity, and your emotional resilience. Set a challenge. Spend 1 hour this weekend completely alone. No screens. No talking. Just you and a journal. Use that time to reflect, to write, to just be. It may feel odd at first, but over time, you'll start to crave it. Because when you spend time alone intentionally, you realize something profound. You are not empty. You are deep. And that depth is where real breakthroughs begin. Step 3. Redefine solitude as strength, not loneliness. There's a huge difference between being alone and being lonely. Loneliness is a lack of connection. Solitude is a choice, a decision to connect with yourself before connecting with others. In solitude, you become your own best friend. You learn to validate your own emotions. You build a center that no one else can shake. This is what the Stoics meant when they spoke of inner citadels, mental fortresses built through silence, reflection, and self-discipline. Let me share a personal story. A few years ago, I took a solo trip to the mountains. No Wi-Fi, no schedule, just long hikes, long journal entries, and long hours of silence. At first, it was uncomfortable. I reached for my phone more than once. My mind felt restless, bored. But after 2 days, something shifted. I started thinking more clearly. I became aware of thoughts I didn't know I was carrying. Old wounds surfaced, but so did new insights. And when I returned home, I felt calmer, more grounded, more me than I had in years. Solitude had sharpened me, and it can sharpen you, too. Because here's the truth. You cannot become who you're meant to be if you never meet yourself in silence. If you're always reacting to the world, you never get the chance to shape your own. So today, I challenge you. Don't fear being alone. Seek it, schedule it, embrace it. Go for a walk without your phone. Sit in a cafe and observe instead of scroll. Wake up 15 minutes earlier and just sit with yourself. You'll be amazed at what you discover. Because in the quiet, your strength begins to speak. And in a world addicted to noise, solitude is not a retreat. It's a revolution. Let me ask you something most people never think about. If your mind was a muscle, what kind of shape would it be in right now? Strong, flexible, battle-tested, or constantly distracted, reactive, and tired? You see, just like our bodies, our minds need to be trained. Not just occasionally, but every single day. And if you neglect your physical fitness, your body weakens. If you neglect your mental discipline, the same thing happens to your thoughts, your focus, your emotional strength. But here's the good news. Mental strength isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. That's exactly what the Stoics believed. They didn't just speak philosophy, they practiced it like warriors trained for battle. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. He wasn't just an emperor, he was also a master of mental training. Every morning, before leading an empire, he would sit down and journal. He didn't do it to be poetic. He did it to train his thinking, to anticipate problems, confront fears, and remind himself what really mattered. His journal wasn't written for anyone else. It was a mirror, a mental gym. And that habit helped him stay calm under pressure, focused during chaos, and wise in moments of great responsibility. So what about you? How do you train your mind? Most people don't. They wake up and go straight to their phone. They react to whatever comes their way, and then wonder why they feel so scattered and overwhelmed. But imagine this. What if your first thought of the day wasn't fear or stress, but strength? What if you programmed your mind each morning the same way athletes warm up their bodies? Let me show you how. Step 1. Create a mental mantra. This is not just a motivational quote you scroll past on Instagram. This is a phrase you designed for you. It should reflect your values, your focus, your strength. For example, I respond with calm, not chaos. I am in control of my thoughts, not my emotions. Nothing external can shake my internal power. Repeat it when you wake up. Repeat it before you speak. Repeat it when stress starts to rise. This is your armor. And the more you use it, the more real it becomes. Step 2. Practice thought control like it's a daily discipline. Just like you don't let junk food fill your body. Don't let junk thoughts fill your mind. When a negative thought shows up, pause. Ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this true? Does this align with who I want to be? If not, let it go. Don't argue with it. Don't feed it. Just observe it and move forward. This one habit alone can change your entire life. Because your thoughts shape your emotions. Your emotions shape your actions. And your actions shape your future. Step 3. React with intention, not instinct. Think about the last time you got angry, or anxious, or defensive. What if you had taken 5 seconds to breathe, to think, to respond instead of react? That's not weakness. That's mastery. Seneca once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Reacting is easy. Anyone can snap. But choosing your response? That takes training. That takes a warrior mindset. So how do you start? Here's a simple practice. At the end of each day, write down one moment where you reacted poorly. Then rewrite the moment. How you wish you had responded. Over time, this simple exercise rewires your instincts. It sharpens your awareness. And it builds what the Stoics called virtue, the strength to act with wisdom. No matter the emotion. Step 4. Protect your mental inputs. You wouldn't pour dirty water into your car engine and expect it to run. So why pour negativity into your mind and expect peace? Choose your information diet wisely. Consume content that strengthens your focus, not weakens it. Surround yourself with people who challenge your growth, not your patience. Feed your mind with wisdom, not noise. Your thoughts are shaped by your inputs. So don't just guard your time, guard your attention. Let me leave you with this. Your mind is the command center of your life. Everything you create, everything you experience, everything you overcome, it all starts with how you think. So train it, sharpen it, respect it, because the strongest people in the world aren't those who shout the loudest. They're the ones who master their minds, quietly, consistently, and relentlessly. So today, step into that identity. Don't wait for peace, create it. Don't hope for clarity, build it. Don't react like everyone else, respond like a warrior. Because when you master your mind, you become unstoppable. Let's talk about something that stops more dreams than failure ever could. Waiting. Waiting for the perfect time. The perfect plan. The perfect feeling. The perfect version of yourself. We tell ourselves, I'll start when I'm ready. I'll launch it when I feel more confident. I'll move forward once everything's in place. But here's the harsh truth. Perfect never comes. And while you wait for perfect, your potential quietly collects dust. If you look at the people who actually make an impact, who create, who build, who grow, they all have one thing in common. They started before they felt ready. Take Richard Branson, founder of Virgin Group. He didn't wait until he had a degree in aviation to start an airline. He didn't wait until the perfect idea came to him. He saw an opportunity, and he moved. Was he 100% prepared? No. But he understood something most people don't. Momentum is more powerful than perfection. That's not just business advice. It's physics. Remember Newton's first law? An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. That's not just true for falling apples, it's true for your life. When you delay action, you reinforce inertia. You become the person who plans, dreams, talks, but never moves. But when you act, especially when it's imperfect, you create momentum. And momentum is what separates the doers from the dreamers. So the question is, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting to feel confident? Let me tell you something most people don't know. Confidence doesn't come before action, it comes from action. The first time you speak in public, your voice will shake. The first time you start your business, it will feel messy. The first time you post your writing, your hands might tremble. And that's okay. Because success isn't about avoiding discomfort. It's about moving with it, through it, until you're on the other side. Let me give you a practical tool that helps break perfection paralysis. The 80% rule. If a task feels 80% ready, just start. Don't wait for 100%. Don't wait until it's flawless. Start messy. Start rough. Start scared if you have to, but just start. Because here's the truth. You can always adjust in motion. But you can't steer something that's standing still. And when you start acting, something magical happens. You learn faster. You build real confidence. You discover what works and what doesn't, not through theory, but experience. Another trick? Replace overthinking with overdoing. Most people analyze themselves into inaction. They read more books, watch more videos, make more lists, but all of that becomes a trap. Because learning about change isn't the same as doing it. So next time you catch yourself spiraling in analysis, ask, what's the smallest possible step I can take right now? Then take it. Write one paragraph. Send one email. Go for one 5-minute walk. Record one draft, no edits. And let that step create motion. Because here's what separates the people who say they want to grow from the ones who actually do. Action. Even imperfect action. Especially imperfect action. Now let me be clear. I'm not saying don't plan. I'm saying don't hide behind planning. There's a difference between being strategic and being scared to begin. So if you've been waiting for permission, consider this your sign. You don't need to be ready. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't even need to feel brave. You just need to move. The Stoics knew this. They didn't say, become the perfect person before you act. They said, do what's in front of you. Now, with courage, with discipline. Epictetus put it best. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Not when you feel like it. Not after everything is set. Just do it. Let me share something personal. When I launched my first YouTube video, it wasn't perfect. I didn't have fancy gear. I didn't have years of experience. But I hit publish. And that one decision? It changed everything. Not because the video was flawless, but because I started. And you can, too. Because every massive success you've ever admired started small. Started uncertain. Started with someone who chose courage over comfort. So today, forget waiting. Forget perfect. And choose progress. Because while the world waits for inspiration, you're going to take action. Let me leave you with this. Putting yourself first is not selfish. It's self-respect. In a world that constantly pulls you in every direction, expectations, responsibilities, noise, distractions, choosing to prioritize your own mind, your own peace, and your own path is the most courageous thing you can do. Some will misunderstand you. They'll say you're being distant, that you've changed. And you know what? They're right. Because you're no longer abandoning yourself to please others. You're no longer living reactively, letting the world dictate your mood, your time, your worth. You're choosing to take the wheel. And here's what I want you to remember. This isn't a one-time breakthrough. This is a journey made of small decisions, a journey of daily discipline, a journey of showing up for yourself again and again. It begins in moments that look ordinary. Waking up and choosing silence instead of scrolling. Saying no to what drains you and yes to what nourishes you. Pausing to breathe when your emotions beg you to react. It's subtle, it's quiet, but those moments, they build something extraordinary. They build a life grounded in clarity, in purpose, in resilience. The Stoics never promised life would be easy. They promised that you could become strong enough to face it. That's why Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. You've learned a lot through this series. You've learned the power of calm in a chaotic world, the value of solitude, focus, and mental training, the danger of waiting for perfect, and the importance of acting, even when it's messy. But here's the most important thing of all. None of this matters if it stays as information. The Stoics didn't write for entertainment. They wrote to prepare for battle, internal battle. So now, it's your turn. Not to just know these principles, but to live them. To treat each day as a test of your values. To treat each emotion as a chance to practice mastery. To treat each setback as a training ground for wisdom. And to do it without waiting for permission. Let me be honest with you. This path is not always easy. It's easier to blame the world than to take ownership. It's easier to distract yourself than to sit with discomfort. It's easier to wait for motivation than to build discipline. But if you've made it this far, you already know. You weren't made for easy. You were made for growth, for depth, for a life lived from the inside out. So here's what I want you to do next. Put yourself first. That doesn't mean neglecting others. It means showing up as your best self, so you can truly serve, lead, and love from a place of strength. It means taking full responsibility for your energy, your time, your mindset. It means asking hard questions like, am I living on autopilot? What do I truly value? What does the best version of me do today? Because no one else can walk this path for you. No one else can build your character, your clarity, your calm. That's on you. And that's the beauty of it. Because the same way we train our bodies, we can train our minds. The same way we protect our homes, we can guard our focus. The same way we plan our careers, we can design our inner life. So don't stop here. Keep growing. Keep practicing. Keep choosing you, not out of ego, but out of wisdom. And if this series has helped you, if it sparked something in you, I invite you to stay connected. This channel exists for people like you. People who are ready to think deeper, to live better, to rise, not just in achievement, but in integrity. So if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. Join this movement of modern Stoics. Because this isn't the end, it's the beginning. Every step you take to prioritize your mindset, to protect your peace, to live with purpose, is a step toward the life you were meant to live. Not one dictated by fear, not one shaped by chaos, but one rooted in strength, calm, and clarity. So take that next step. We'll be walking it with you. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video to let us know it made an impact. Share it with someone who might need to hear it today. And most importantly, subscribe to this channel so you never walk this journey alone. Every week, we bring you powerful Stoic insights, mindset shifts, and practical tools to help you rise above the noise and reclaim your life. So if you're ready to live with more clarity, more purpose, and more peace, join the community, turn on the bell, and let's keep growing together.